Alright, hey everyone out there in Banjo land, Mike Hedding here, coming to you today with a little mini banjo lesson. I get a lot of questions on my left hand technique. How can I improve my left hand technique? So I wanted to go over just some little exercises I use to just improve your strength and dexterity. And these are little things that maybe you can incorporate into like a warm-up exercise. You don't have to do a super long practice session with these, but maybe you can take some of these ideas and incorporate them into, just a nice little warm-up exercise for your left hand. All right, let's jump in. All right, so let's start up here on the 5th fret. I wanted to start up a little higher because the frets aren't quite as far apart. And as we get our hands stronger, then we can move back down. But basically what we're going to start with is we're going to take one finger for each fret. So we're going to use our first finger on all the 5th frets, our second finger on all the 6th frets, our third finger on all the 7th frets, and our pinky on all the 8th frets. Okay? And don't really worry about what you're doing with your right hand. You can use your thumb over and over again. You can use thumb, index. Let's just focus on our left hand for this exercise. Okay? So let's start by just playing each note and then going back to open. Do each one a couple times. And don't worry about what it sounds like either. We're just doing this as a strength exercise. And then up. And what I'm practicing there is one, keeping my hands stretched out and keeping the same angle for all my fingers. So one finger isn't playing, on the tip where another finger is playing way down here, for example. See how I'm trying to keep my hand in basically the same position all the way down. So I'll just do it a little faster. You can go up and down or bounce between the fingers once you get it down. You try it on any string. Don't worry about what it sounds like. Pinky and your third finger are probably going to be the trickiest. So again, if those ones are really tough, obviously shake it out, get some blood reflow into your fingers if you need to. The other thing I'm practicing is keeping my same angle regardless of what string I'm on. So if I'm up here or down here, I guess on the lower sounding strings, to go to the higher strings, I don't like turn my hand. I keep the same shape and just move down. So that's also important. When you're going down, you're keeping the same angle. You could also just do one finger going up and down the strings. So just practice that again. You can do it wherever. I'm just practicing bouncing to a lower string, getting a good note. Remember, you got to be close to the frets, obviously. Okay, so one other thing you can practice with that same exercise is keeping your fingers down as long as possible. So you might not always want to do this, but it's a really good technique to get down. If you don't automatically lift your fingers up, it's really going to help the flow of your song. It's going to help the smoothness of your song. It's going to help connect all the notes. If you naturally lift up your fingers all the time, it's just your song's going to kind of sound choppier, or I call it like more robotic. It's not going to have that nice smoothness. So one thing you can practice is keeping these ones down behind it as long as possible. And if you absolutely have to lift them up, you can. So you're just practicing going up and down or going in between them. You're just practicing hovering over those notes. So that'd be one thing you can practice as well. If it's too big of a stretch, you could try it up here. Remember, I'm just doing one finger per fret, and you can try it down here too if you. I also want to keep the same shape regardless of where I'm on the neck. Your hand's going to get a little closer together, but notice how my angle of my hand hopefully doesn't change as I go up the neck. You know, even if I'm way up here, you know, you want to make sure. I see that's a common mistake I see a lot of people make, is as their hand goes up the neck, a lot of times their wrist will like fold back like that. So then by the time they're up here, they're basically in this impossible shape, and you know, you can probably feel the tension in your shoulder and in your wrist if you bend your hand back like that. So you really want to keep that same consistent shape, even if you're way up here, you know. Because then I can play the same licks and ideas with the same hand position regardless of where I am on the neck. Okay, so one other thing you could try is now since we've gone up and down with the fingers, let's try and go back and forth between different fingers. This is just a good strengthening exercise. Let's go to our third finger. I'm keeping my first finger down the whole time. That's really important. I'm not doing this. Look how much more work that is if I do this. Practicing strengthening my first finger as my anchor and being able to add those other fingers also without muting other strings. Remember, don't lift your first finger up. Don't do this. Keep your first finger down. Try with your second finger too. So do second. Now my second finger is my plant. You won't be able to go backwards, but I can work my other fingers. So this will be tricky. It's also not about how long your fingers are. I think it's more about the angle of your fingers. Because my hand isn't very big, so it's not necessarily about. I don't think it's about the size of your fingers. It's the angle you're using. That one's tricky. The pinky is really. My pinky was really wimpy when I first started, so I've had to work on that a lot. You could also do them as like hammer-ons or pull-offs. You could also do that with your first finger. You know, it's just good pull-off practice. Or hammer-on practice. I was doing hammer-ons. Try with your second finger. That'll probably be trickier. You're just practicing being able to hammer on with any finger. Like a second finger to pinky hammer-on is tricky. Now this last one, let's shake it out a little bit. You know, get some blood reflow into your hand. You know, pause the video if you need to. Definitely not expecting you to learn all this right away. I'm just showing you a couple things you can kind of incorporate into your warm-up exercise. Now lastly, let's do third finger and pinky. That one will probably be the trickiest. Incorporating your other fingers. Or go back to the four-finger exercise. One other kind of strengthening thing you can do is maybe try, so we've tried playing them all on the same string, maybe try doing them all on different strings. To keep them all down. You could even go up far. It might be easier up here to start. You notice my thumb kind of drops down too. That'll be really tricky down here. But it's good strengthening practice. Again, don't worry about what it sounds like. It's not really a chord. Or you could invert them. You're just trying to get the angle of all your fingers right so you're not muting those other notes. Notice how angled my pinky needs to be to get that to work. You know, or flip them. That'd be kind of a weird exercise I just thought of when I was sitting here. Is you go this way, and then go up to the next fret and then go down, and then go up to the next one and go back up. You know, again, you're just kind of practicing moving around, and then, you know, just shake it out, get the blood reflow into your fingers. This will be really good practice for more advanced songs where you need to do, you know, pinky hammer-ons, pinky pull-offs, third finger hammer-ons, third finger pull-offs, and then finally you can move it back down maybe to like your 2-3 hammer-ons. Maybe will feel a little bit stronger after you do this. You know. So again, for this lesson, I would just focus on your left hand. The other thing, lastly, I would say, remember, which I mentioned before, but I'll say it one more time, is take this really slow. You know, if your hand is hurting, take a break. You know, what I always say is be proactive rather than reactive. Once your hand starts hurting, you know, it's kind of too late. So take a little break. Try this, you know, try it a few times, especially your pinky and your third finger especially might be a little tender after you do this, but that's what we're practicing. You're trying to build up the strength in those fingers. And it's a process. It's not something you're going to get to a point and then all of a sudden you're going to do it forever. You know, you have to keep working on it, and you know, just like kind of lifting weights at a gym or something, and then if you take a couple months off, you're going to have to kind of work it back up again. So that's why I recommend doing these as like a warm-up exercise to a practice session. It's also just a good way to get your fingers moving, get a little blood flow, and get your fingers stretched out a little bit. All right, hopefully that gives you some stuff to practice. All right, good luck.